Steve McGough. If you want to know anything about growing vegetables or anything like that, honestly, go to Steve. His wife Louise does flowers, if you're interested in any of that as well. But round of applause for the amazing Steve McGough.
So, my name's Steve. I am the CEO of So Mindful, and So Mindful's goal is to help as many people as possible live life as the best version of themselves. So, and also to live life in the outside world, being present rather than being trapped inside your head. So my method is, I help people go from I'll be happy when to all the happiness I need is already inside me. So Mindful came about from me trying to find a way to improve my mental health. And the more I learned, the more I come to realise that I could use these tools as well to help other people. So using tools from NLP, horticultural therapy and mindfulness, I managed to get outside of my head, being present, which I really, really needed, because I was just stuck dwelling, playing back tapes inside my mind, trapped, and sort of concentrating on them rather than letting them just disappear. And I ended up just being stuck inside there, ruining my day. At the start of my learning, I was in quite a dark place, just as I say, thinking about thoughts from the past, just constantly replaying them all the time, unable to see what was good around me now. And I was replaying those memories on full volume in full colour, so quite intense. And I was, undoubtedly making it worse for me. Examining everything that was being played back and zooming in on it, and like I say, turning up brightness and sound, which just exaggerated what had previously happened. And the point was, I was stuck. I was in a cage, unable to see what was going on with my wife and kids, and just focusing on memories instead, and making it a hell of a lot worse for me. Torturing myself, unable to move on. So my wife was worried, the GPs referred me to the people that I needed to speak to, but I felt utterly, utterly helpless. But eventually, alongside prescription medication, I looked into neuro-linguistic programming, which is something that I'd read about before, and I just found it intriguing that you could reprogram stuff so that it didn't have the same effect as it'd been doing previously. I also got involved in network marketing, and anyone who knows about network marketing knows they are absolutely mad about personal development, obsessed. And I've got a very inquisitive mind, and so I soaked it up like a sponge. And then my desire to change my mental health for the better just developed more and more. And just like I say, I knew that if I could help myself, I was able to help other people. Previous to that, I worked for the NHS. I'm going back a bit just to give you a bit of a background. I worked for the NHS, and it was an absolute privilege to be able to help people in their hour of need. I was in the emergency department, so it was like really in their hour of need. But my health took a nosedive with ME and then depression, and I was unable to carry on. And they had to, in the end, sever their contract with me because there was neither of us had any idea, sorry, I felt like I was in a bit of a boat. Neither of us had any idea when I'd be fit enough to return back to work. And it was absolutely heartbreaking. And I felt like I'd been robbed. But as I sort of improved and I sort of went on my development, my personal development, I started thinking of ways that I could go back to helping people, but in my way, you know. And then on the back of that, So Mindful was developed from studying a set of skills that enabled me to help people overcome their mental blocks. So nobody wants to be trapped in thought, like I was, listening to conversations from the past. But when you listen to people talking, like a group of women all gossiping, you know what they're like. I'm in the wrong place for that one, aren't I? But when you listen to groups of people talking, it's often started off by saying, oh, I was thinking of this the other day, and I thought of that the other day. And that thought may have been an unhelpful thought to start with. And it just gets more and more intensified, and it gets layered, and then it becomes a monster between people all talking about something that could have, you know, wasn't helpful to start with, and could have just disappeared like that if they hadn't decided to study it. Because thoughts and feelings are two sides of the same coin. You can't have your thought without your body going through a physical feeling as well. And the mind is... The mind's... I don't know what that was.
The baby.
Your mind's really sort of clever. Well, it's not clever. It's quite naive in respect that you, even if you think about doing something and haven't actually done it, your body will still experience the feeling of having done it. So if you're thinking about a bad thought of doing something, you will get the physical feelings of having done that. So getting stuck in negative thoughts is really not something you want to be stuck in. You know, if you just don't concentrate on it, it will go. You go through so many thoughts a day, half of which you don't know about because you haven't managed to catch it. You know, if I'm feeling fed up, there's no way I will have loving thoughts. And we get a projection of those thoughts inside us. And our mind's goal is to see those thoughts, know that they're real. But when it's not, we need to be saying, that's not real, that's not happened, it's not going to happen, let it go. Just let it disappear. Because you've got to remember...
Frozen.
You will be.
Yeah.
What you've got to remember is that thoughts are not true. They change and they leave constantly. They are... We are not responsible for the thoughts that come into our head. They just appear, some catch our attention, they get magnified, you can't control them. It's not broken, it's an energy, and it will come and it will go. So, you know, you don't want to, like I was, be catching those thoughts coming in that are really, really not helpful, and then, like I say, magnifying it and layering it and making it a monster. And you won't succeed in life. We were talking about this earlier on, actually. You won't succeed in life by living your life worrying what other people think about you. I mean, I'll be honest, I've been bricking it this morning, thinking I'm going to give this bloody speech, and everyone's going to be sitting there looking at me, like you all are. I mean, if you could turn around, it'd be much better. You know, and judging. You can't live your life like that. And, you know, who knows best what's good for you than you? You need to have total confidence that what you're doing is absolutely right for you, because you'll never live your best life doing it for other people. And you need to be spending as much time as possible living in the moment, as you were saying earlier on. don't listen to that judging voice in the back of your mind. It's just not your friend. What you want to do is try a little trick. Next time you hear that little voice telling you to do or think something that is not helpful to you, give it the voice of Donald Duck. I'll guarantee you that all the power from that voice will hold no power over you at all. I mean, I did it on our wedding day. You know, 20 years later, she still sounds the same. It also works when you're playing back old memories. Anything that is, you know, whenever you sort of think about an old memory and it sort of makes you feel, you know, I can't believe that happened. You know, if you have the power to change the voice. And if you give it a stupid voice, all that power has just disappeared. I mean, as an example, I mean, I had a memory that was constantly causing me problems. And we were supposed to be going to a family celebration many years ago. I think it was my nan's 80th. At the time, the business I worked for, I was a key holder. It was a Saturday night, I think it was late in the year, so it was dark and horrible. And the alarms were going off at my place of work. So I had to drop everything because I was on call, go to the place of work, find what the problem was, reset everything and come home. No problem. But I got there and put the key in the lock. Bloody key broke. Couldn't get in. So I had to ring another key holder up who wasn't on call, who had a key for a different door, to get him out so we could go in, find out what the problem was and reset everything, and I had to sort out a new lock on the door. And so obviously it took a lot longer because he was out, he was doing whatever, and I had to hang around and wait for him to come back. By the time I got home, absolutely knackered, ages had gone by, I'd completely missed the going out to see my nan and celebrating with the family and everything. I just ended up going home, going to bed. And next thing you know, there's a knock on the door. I don't know what time it was, got up, opened the door, it was my dad. I come from a big Irish family, we like a drink. He was drunk, berating me for letting the family down. Everyone wanted to see us and I didn't bother going to the event. And then he got back in the car. He wasn't driving, by the way. I kept thinking about this. I'm telling this story and my dad is pissed out of his face and he goes back in the car and drives off. He wasn't driving. He gets back in the car and they disappear, just like that. And I just stood there like mortified, not able to give my side. We've got a bit of a relationship where we don't really see eye to eye, so. But anyway, that was constantly, that plagued me for so long, constantly just replaying that bit back, unable to give my side because it just wasn't given a chance, and it wasn't good. But then learning some of the skills that I've now got, I realised that I wasn't just the star of that scene. I was the director, I was the sound, and I changed it. And it just completely, I'm laughing now thinking about it. The next time I had that fall and he come along and he was having a go at me and everything else, suddenly there was a bathroom above our front door. Suddenly somebody was in the bathroom, they threw a bucket of water at him. And I reprogrammed that, and that has absolutely no effect on me anymore apart from making me laugh. So you see, you can change your bad thoughts, and that's one thing that I come along to help people with. So personal development, going back to network marketing, it isn't just about books on winning in business or becoming TikTok stars or all of that. It does what it says on the tin, it's to develop you personally. And it's listening to your emotions and thoughts. And when it comes to emotions that don't have a positive impact on yourself, you've got to ask yourself why. What's it trying to tell me? And what's it stopping me from doing? Am I going to listen to it? Or am I going to discover a way of being able to quieten it down and achieve what I want to achieve? And again, this is where I can help people to see that thoughts are just that. It holds absolutely no power over you. In the past, it's possibly stopped you from doing, in your attraction, doing things you want to do. Walking on hot coals, for instance, maybe. And if what you want to do is that important to you, then you need to have a word with yourself and say, what can I do to get me past this stage? And, how can I get rid of these negative emotions? How will I feel when I've achieved walking over those hot coals, apart from having burning feet? How will I feel getting out of my comfort zone and walking on those coals? And you need to visualise yourself on the other side of it, having walked over those coals. And I keep talking about that, but it's just something we were talking about outside, and I didn't actually have an example written down. Visualising yourself on the other side of it, and visualising having those feelings of having achieved it, and also visualising your friends or family or whoever's there at the time feeling the same feelings for you, having done it. It gets you away from that moment of where it feels overwhelming and to a calmer, happier, clearer spot. And then that state of mind, you're sort of saying to yourself, how amazing is that to that I would feel that way? And that should be what's going to get you through that moment. There's always one. There's always one.
I was just putting you on my stories.
My wife, ladies and gentlemen.
Sorry. Is that voice?
It's Donald. I was doing some a little while back before this getting this together. I was doing some research on stress, and one of the shocking statistics I'd read about was that in 2018, stress was the most Googled symptom. The most Googled symptom. 4 years ago, 5 years ago now, and since then, since that being the most Googled symptom, we've had a pandemic, war in Europe, a gas crisis, an energy crisis, a financial crisis. And yet 4 years before all of that, hundreds of millions of people around the world looking for a solution to stress. I mean, that's just crazy. It comes in many forms, obviously. I mean, you've got family commitments, you're looking after elderly relatives, children, etc. Mounting fuel bills, which everyone knows about now, due to the price of fuel. Feeding the family. Regularly, there's parents missing consistently a daily meal to make sure their children get fed. And trying to keep a job whilst the actual business is struggling to stay open. Is it any wonder that everyone is struggling, or people are struggling with stress? And obviously stress contributes to a busy mind. Can you just imagine, on a daily basis, having to deal with that? And again, I teach tools to be able to help people to navigate back to the present, to try and get away from that busy mind. But as I said earlier, when it comes to thoughts, we have our in-house commentator sharing thoughts on what you're doing and thinking right now. Dread to think what you're thinking about right now, actually. But that inner commentator isn't you. You are not responsible, but you do make the choice about what you listen to. And that on its own can be stressful. Think about how you handle stress. Here's a way I'd like to share for people to handle stress. Picture a game of chess. You've got the black pieces and you've got the white pieces. And the black pieces represent thoughts and feelings that you don't want. So when a stressful situation comes along, here's what happens. People start to experience thoughts and feelings that they don't want to have. So they try to think positively and change the emotional state so that they can think and feel the way they want to, which is just exactly what you think of doing. But like in chess, the black pieces and the white pieces, they'll go to battle, and that battle between negativity and positivity wages inside you. I don't want to feel like that. I want to feel like this. We visualise, use affirmations, try to challenge the negative thoughts, or use some other personal development method to eliminate the negative thoughts and feelings completely. Let me ask you this. Has that ever consistently worked for you? Consistently. If you're like most people, it hasn't. Because having these pieces go to battle just draws you deeper and deeper into stress. I nearly did shuffle them up then. Here's what to do instead. Realise you're the board, you're not the chess pieces. The real you is the observer of the thoughts and feelings. This is what things like meditation help you realise. You see you're having a thought, you're not the thought. You see you're having a feeling, you're not the actual feeling. The observer position helps you to not get caught up in the thoughts and feelings. Like a chessboard, you can just let them get on with it without desperately going in to try and change them. Rather than getting all caught up in the feelings and the thoughts and trying to battle with them, realise they are just thoughts and feelings. And like leaving a radio on in another room, you can just let them get on with it in the background and you do your thing. It takes practice, but it is life-changing when you manage to implement it. So next time you experience stress, you try to battle it. See if you can picture all the thoughts and feelings like chess pieces, and you are just the board, just watching it go on. What you've got to remember is that trying to battle them often draws you deeper into stress. And stress gets amplified the more you battle it, and it lessens the less you battle it. One of the worst problems, I know it's certainly something that I deal with, so at least I know what I'm talking about, is overthinking. And you know what I mean, you've got your inner commentator, again, notices, for example, you want to do some DIY. And then suddenly you've got this voice in your head saying, you can't do that. The bloody hell, you can't do DIY. Do you remember the last time you painted them doors? They were an absolute disgrace. Glossing's an art, and you don't have it. But in reality, you didn't do a bad job. You actually had, when people came round, some of them even commented saying how nice and fresh it all looked. And one of them was like, I would have to get you round mine and do a bit of work round there. But there's always a voice in your head that, but when you get to this, what are you going to do then? How are you going to handle that? And then, all right, you've handled that. You've got to this bit. How are you going to deal with that? What's the purpose of overthinking? It's just trying to control life so you're feeling more prepared. Problem is, it's for every single turn you take. Although a certain amount of thinking is needed, in some instances, you know, it has its place, but so many people overthink all the time. You know, for everything. And it gets to the stage, you know, all these what-if scenarios, you can't get an answer for everything. You can't, you know, I'm standing here now, I'm holding this microphone, what am I going to do with it? Well, what am I going to do with it when I finish with it? How am I going to get out from behind this lectern? You can't get an answer for everything. But the problem is, the more people overthink, the more likely they're going to be to let their thoughts actually stop them from doing what they wanted to do, because it would just be a bloody disaster. What advice would I give to an overthinker? Same advice I give myself all the bloody time. Learn to trust yourself more. Let go of control and develop the trust that in the moment, as things crop up, you'll know what to do. And the more you learn to do that, the less the brain will feel the need to overthink. Because they'll start to develop an inner confidence and self-trust that they'll be able to handle whatever comes their way. And the person who knows that they can handle whatever comes their way creates the magic in the world. So as I bring my spot to a close, I want to ask you this: what's for lunch? No. Have you ever had a dream at night that felt so real that when you woke up in the morning, you were relieved? I'm sure you have, we all have. 20 years ago.
That's what she said.
I'm going to be in so much trouble. You open your eyes, your brain takes in the surroundings. Don't, I need to keep a straight face. And you think, oh, phew, it was just a dream. Well, beliefs that hold you back from feeling true inner peace are like that too. And when you truly see that a thought is just a thought and not a fact, much like waking up from a dream, you'll think, phew, it was just a thought. And the more you do this, the more you come to understand that all limiting beliefs are just that. Thoughts you're believing are facts. That's when you'll truly wake up to the endless possibilities in your future and become who you were always destined to be. How exciting is that?
Another round of applause for Steve, please. Absolutely amazing. Lots of laughs, comedy, all of it. Gem, dream.